something, but I don't really see it. I mean, Muslims need to own responsibility. They need to own it. For example,
is it a Muslim thing though?
They are Muslims. Listen, let me put it like this. Let me answer that question like this, because these are all rhetorical questions. It's not Muslim grooming gangs. They're grooming gangs of Muslims. Okay? They are. I mean, if they're Pakistani in those communities, it's fair to say, identify them, a spade.
Let me ask you a question
Pakistani
though.
Muslims. And the problem for me, right? Why the fuck have the community left it to Tommy fucking Robinson to bring it to the wider public attention? Why? It's no good the mothers of the community coming afterwards and say, oh, leave it to us, Sharia law, we'll sort them out. No, bro. The community shouldn't have let it get to that state.
The community's been speaking about this since 2011.
I know that, and it's hypocritical to say otherwise, but we can't just let it go. We have to own it. We have to own it.
Not necessarily, because when it comes to the other grooming gangs, no one ever talks about the faith of those individuals.
Yeah, I'm talking about them.
When have you ever had the media
It's a political football.
or Tommy Robinson all these guys? Wait, one second.
You made the point. You're just going to fulfill the argument. You're making this clear from the outset. The argument that you're going to make, okay, and you're not necessarily wrong.
Yeah.
Right? But all that does is give the impression that Muslims are in denial. Right?
But we're not in denial because.
Are we not?
I don't think so, because whether it's myself, whether it's
I don't live in those communities.
whether it's myself, whether it's others, the first thing that we do is we say, grooming in any form, in any shape, it's abhorrent, it's disgusting. Linking it to Islam is equally disgusting, because any of those actions of those grooming gangs, there's nothing Islamic about them. Like having premarital sex is haram, plowing children with drugs and alcohol is haram, is forbidden. In fact, it can lead to capital punishment. What's Islamic about them? But then when you say, when you say Tommy Robinson, when Tommy Robinson was getting arrested in America for going with a false passport, you had Nazir Afzal, who was the chief prosecutor that was putting these groomers behind bars. This was in 2012. 2011, there was a 4-page spread in the Times. 2012, he gets appointed by Keir Starmer, and he puts away hundreds, according to him, thousands.
No. Hang on.
One second.
Be straight with me.
I am.
He put away hundreds, or he put away thousands?
He said thousands. I haven't looked at the figures.
Yes, you have, you liar.
What do you mean? I've looked at his figures, how many people he's put away, and I'm a liar.
You are, because you have looked at the figures.
Have I looked at his figures, how many he's put away? How do you know?
Well, I know.
Bro, behave yourself.
No, you don't tell me to behave myself.
No, because you're calling me a liar. Of course I'm going to tell you to behave yourself. You're not going to call me a liar. You know what I mean?
Your video is very good because you have looked at the figures, and that's one of the reasons why it's very good.
No.
And I respect that.
Maybe you've misunderstood what I've said. There's two figures. There's two. One are the regular figures. One is the regular figures of the groomers and the grooming, and the other is the figure of Nazir Afzal, how many he's put away. There are two different figures here. He's saying he's put away thousands. I don't know, that's why I'm not saying thousands. I prefer to say hundreds, because that's the reality. Yeah. However, that was 2011 when Times first covered it. 2012, Tommy was trying to get into America. However, Nazir Afzal was there locking them away. Then you had the guy that's on Good Morning Britain, OBE, forgotten his name. No, Adil Raja or something. He did a BBC documentary on the grooming gangs. A couple of years later, again, Nazreen, she did a documentary on Channel 4. There's articles on BBC, Guardian, Independent, all saying that at least 500 imams of mosques decided that they would in unison talk about it in the Friday khutbah. The Friday khutbah is the most populated of Muslims during the whole week. talking about grooming gangs. Not only have documentaries been done, it's been mentioned in khutbas. The chief prosecutor that's been putting them away is a Muslim, is a Pakistani. And then you're trying to say, oh yeah, Tommy Robinson. Bro, Tommy Robinson,
What am I trying to say?
Tommy Robinson's the one that's been propped forward that, oh, you know what, take this to put forward this notion that the innocent white girls are being taken by the evil ethnic people. It's not the first time that this has happened. It happened pre-World War II to the Jewish community. Oh, they're pedophiles. Then it happened to the black people. They are raping our white women. And now it's happening.
Is it happening?
Of course it's happening. But is it happening by the Christians? Of course it's happening. Is it happening by the Jews? What happened yesterday?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll tell you what happened because...
They stopped coming out of the underground tunnels in New York yet.
Well, there you go. But one of the chief chair of the Jewish labor movement, he was just arrested, I think it was yesterday, for trying to meet an underage kid. But in the media, no one's going to be mentioning what I guarantee no one's going to be mentioning his religion.
Here's the thing.
Am I right or am I right?
Well, I'm not saying it's entirely wrong, but what I'm saying is, first of all, the imams should not need to be telling the Jamaat that it's wrong, first of all.
No, they're not saying it's wrong. What they're saying is that they are drawing attention to it, saying that we need to keep an eye and an ear out, and we need to hold our own community responsible.
If they're not, as if they're already not doing that.
Well, no, they didn't do it enough because it's happened. Because, no, to be fair, they put, I mean, yes, they do.
It's happened in every sector, not just... Not
Precisely.
It's happened in all sectors.
Yeah, but not all things are the same, are they?
What do you mean? I thought child abuse was child abuse.
Well, it's not, is it?
Well, then enlighten me.
It comes in many forms. Last year, I read recently...
About Cornwall, that white grooming gang. Or the Glasgow, the white grooming gang.
Or the West Midlands.
Or the West
We're going to have
Midlands,
a
yeah.
dialogue? Or,
No, of course we are,
Good. Alhamdulillah. University of Edinburgh have a childlike initiative. They've done research that shows last year, and you can think every year, right? 300 million, I mean, just get that around your head for a moment. 300 million children are exposed online to child abuse or child exploitation, right? So, Muslims, we should not be shying away from this.
Have you equated that to Muslims though? Are you saying Muslims are doing the 200 million? That's a big social media presence. That's more than the population of Muslims in the UK. How are you labeling that on the Muslims?
Is that what I'm doing?
Well, that's what it seems like.
No,
Clarify
then, well, it's not even apparent. I mean, that's your perception.
Because that's how the conversation started from the beginning.
I'm sorry to say, it's characteristic of what I see as an issue amongst British Muslims is what's it got to do with us? What's it got to do with us?
Well, you've started the conversation by blaming the Muslims. That's what you've done. Am I wrong?
No. What I said was that they weren't Muslim grooming gangs, but they were grooming gangs of Muslims.
Why is Muslims coming into the... I don't understand this.
Why shouldn't they?
No, what,
Because
what makes them Muslim? Okay. Left a hole, yeah.
Let me try and explain.
Okay.
Let me try and explain where I'm coming from.
Okay, in order to do that, give me 10 seconds. In order to do that, for your answer to be effective, in my opinion, you'd need to prove that those guys that have done the grooming have been motivated and inspired by Islam.
Rubbish.
Well,
That's rubbish.
why not? If you're saying they're Muslim and Islamic grooming gang, that's what you need to prove.
No, I don't need to prove that. No,
Well, they're just Muslim because you just happen to label them as Muslim.
They're cultural Muslims. Yeah.
Well, then, majority of the grooming gangs are cultural Christians, and that's 85% plus. Let's talk about Christianity in the Bible then.
No, I don't want to talk about Christianity in the
Oh,
Bible.
well, that's a problem.
No, it's not a problem.
It is.
No.
You want to ignore 85% of the grooming?
I'm not here to talk about Christianity in the Bible. I'm talking about...
You've got to be holistic then.
No. I'm being holistic. And yeah, you could categorise that group of crimes that you just mentioned as being of a Western Christian coming from the Western Christian culture, Western culture, whichever way you want to put it. And you would not be wrong. That would be right.
I would say you're wrong. I don't think you can blame the Bible or entire Christianity
It's not about blaming the Bible.
for
That's
a
ridiculous.
bunch of doofus groomers.
That's ridiculous. And all you're doing is you're pursuing that argument, advocating so many
Because I think it's important.
baby Muslims do that it's got nothing to do with us, brother. Those crimes are happening in.
I didn't say it's got nothing to do with us, by the way.
That's kind of it. It's like Mo Hijab, right? Now he's getting it in the neck because I didn't even watch the video. I just read the headline. Right?
You should read the whole thing.
I can't read everything. I mean, I read the headline. I can't read anything. I don't see all your.
Well, if you're gonna come and
Listen,
you should read it.
No. I saw enough to make a point. Yeah.
The headline's not enough.
The headline. You're not even letting me put that across.
Go ahead.
So Mo Hijab apparently has made at some point along the way condemned the grooming gangs, right? At some point he's done that. As do you're telling me the imams, the 500.
No, the mainstream media that's against Muslims as it is, they've admitted that. It's a 500.
You told me, you're good with figures, there was 500.
500, yeah.
500, the 500. Right? It was a film, remember the film?
No, it's 300 actually.
No, you can, but I'm talking to this chap. Pardon me?
Would it be okay if you come down?
No,
it's up to you.
of course it is.
But we're just asking.
You're welcome to ask, but there you go.
Can
I'm taking a stand.
have you got him in the frame, yeah?
I'm taking the position. Okay, and it's all. That's fine. Okay,
No problem, let's carry on, no problem.
So, back to Mo.
Yeah. The 500.
Mo condemned the grooming gangs, as did the 500. So, not just to make the point that it's not necessarily controversial to condemn the grooming gangs. That should be kind of like a given in many ways, right? Well, he's getting it in the neck by other Muslim talking heads, right? Why have you done that? Why have you said anything? Why you shouldn't be saying that? What's it got to do with us? And I'm sorry to say, it's not a good look. It's not. I don't think it's a good attitude. And look, those grooming gangs that we're talking about. This is my problem with the issue. As we would agree, the issue is far, far larger, and that's what we must not forget. And that's what I think Muslims should be at the forefront of talking about that issue, dealing with it, and having something to say about it, and to say what's it got to do with us Muslims. Why? Well, I mean, brother, if I've got to answer that question for you, I mean, you being a Muslim must mean something different to you than it does to me.
I'd like to go one step forward and say, rather than us just taking responsibilities for 4 areas, I'd say let's take responsibility for the whole country. Let's do an inquiry about the whole country. When you've got when you've got the Home Office, when you've got the CSA 2013-2014 report, when you've got the NPCC, the police, all of them saying that majority are white. I'm saying, being British citizens, being people of this community, we should be looking at this abhorrent act, whether it's amongst the Christians, the Muslims, the Jews, the Hindus, the Sikhs, the whole country. We shouldn't, and this is a recommendation that even in the J inquiry, she said it's dangerous to relegate this just to a specific culture because what you're doing is you're excluding victims that don't fit in with within that certain paradigm of white women with the abusers being brown.
And that is important to point that out, as you are well doing, okay? But at the same time, the other side of that coin is that where it's particular to a particular set of circumstances or group of people, the church, Archbishop of Canterbury had to go because of the particular circumstances around sexual abuse in the church. You have to look at what it is, where it is. Yeah, call a spade a spade.
But what's interesting,
as we like to say.
But
and when it's patterns, apparent patterns. I don't live there. I haven't read the report. I'm not going to read the report. Okay, I read the headlines if you're lucky. Yeah, there's too much what's going on to deal with. Yeah, it's a job just to stay kind of semi-balanced amongst it all. Yeah, so I'm not going to dive into it, but the patterns seem to be pretty broad. You talked about putting thousands away. What about if they put away thousands of people for those particular crimes, those grooming gang crimes that we're talking about now, not the whole picture? Right, hang on, let me make the point. And what about those that weren't caught, and so on and so forth? It must be large. The problem's large, and it's widespread. It's groups of people sharing a mindset that somehow they've cultivated that mindset, you know. And what is the culture? Where are they coming from? They're coming from. They're in those communities, brother. They're in those communities,
You're making a few points, and I wanted to address some of them. So one thing that you're saying is that because he's put away thousands, and we've attached the word grooming to it, immediately we're thinking, it's going to be a certain community, thousands of them. No, grooming is actually not a legal term. Yeah, in fact, even in the reports, they don't use the term legal. They don't use the term grooming. It's not a legal or a technical term. So it's actually,
you and I know what we're talking about.
It's actually to do with group-based child sexual exploitation. So in that, a lot of things get included. So it's not necessarily your brown. It's your brown, it's your dark brown, it's your black, it's your white. It's all of those. But it's grooming in general, based upon the technology that we have, based upon the social, economic factors that we have. All of these things need to be taken into consideration. You're absolutely right. Yeah, when you have people of a certain community, regardless of the color of their skin, if they've done a specific crime, they've been convicted, we as Muslims, we'd say, don't just sling them in prison and give them Xboxes and a gym and, food morning and evening. We're saying be harsher on them. If it was under Sharia, their punishment would be harsher. That's what we're saying. That's the first thing. But then, secondly, let me make the point. You made many points. You made many points. The second point, the thing is here, you have individuals that are in their communities doing absolutely abhorrent, hideous, heinous crimes, but to then link that to the religion when there's been no motive for their actions to be done according to Islam and Muslims. However, you then brought the church thing into it. When we've got headlines by the BBC, CNN, ABC, all of these guys, where thousands of kids have been abused in France, in the church, thousands in Portugal, thousands in Spain, thousands in the US. These are all in headlines in churches linked to officials of the church. That, it's clear, is linked to the church. I'm asking, with respect, how is the actions of these guys in Telford, Rochdale, Rotherham, how is their actions linked to Islam, and what's the causal evidence that you have for that?
Okay, so you just described thousands in France of
Portugal, Spain, America.
Cases of sexual abuse being linked to the church.
Yes, in the church, yeah.
In the church.
Yeah.
Right. So, but you're linking it to the church.
But no one blames all of Christians and the Bible and calls for reformation, etc. Yeah.
Well, there's a similar. There's an insinuation that the responsibility, there's a correlation between those crimes and the institution of the church, rather than those people.
If it's happening in the church, correlation is pretty clear.
Okay, then the correlation is obviously clear also.
Because it's happening in Telford.
No, let me say, the correlation is parallel with the Muslims and Islam. Muslims are correlated to Islam. You can't get away from it.
How do you know they're Muslims? Well, what?
I don't know who the fuck they are, yeah?
Well, then why are you making these arguments then? Why are we having this conversation?
They're Pakistani Muslims. And I've got no reason...
Told by who? By BBC?
Do you deny they're Pakistani Muslims?
I don't know about their faith. I do know they're Pakistanis.
It's their culture. It's the culture.
The culture's the culture of where they're living, not their faith.
Muslim culture.
So if somebody's not following their faith, they're plowing the victims with drugs, with alcohol, having premarital sex, grooming little kids, when all of those things can get the most severest punishments, including capital punishment. What's that got to do with Islam?
Thousands of men, Pakistani Muslim men.
They're not all. They're not thousands of them. There's Pakistanis.
There are.
No, because according to the reports, they're Pakistanis, they're Indians, they're Bangladeshis, they're all sorts, and there's white as well.
And there's white, I know, but they're predominant.
In those areas.
In those areas, in that situation.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about it.
But according to the Home Office, if you look more further, it's 85% are white.
You're not actually letting me have a conversation with you, which is unfortunate. Because
I am, but we're just both passionate in our things.
Well, okay. All right.
Yeah,
Maybe
come on,
that's
bro.
what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's Speaker's Corner. It's Speaker's Corner, ain't it? We will both have our chance to speak.
Okay, but
But it's one of those topics, you know what I mean?
yeah, it's not going away, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
And I believe that Muslims have a role.
As much as everyone else.
Yeah,
Is the word
as much
there.
as everyone
That's the
else.
word there.
That's
As
very
much
good, yeah.
as.
Because I hold Muslims to greater
That's you personally.
Yeah.
As a majority.
standards, quite frankly. Yeah.
To a higher standard.
To a higher
You
standard.
hold- yeah.
Then I don't know what else to call them. I don't like this polar. I mean, my thing is I'm trying to get away from this polarizing.
Yeah,
Right? Muslims, non-Muslims.
Yeah.
And this whole issue there, that's what it's serving. It's serving the polarization between English people, British Muslim people. And we can't. We need to do it. But my thing is, well, where they are Pakistani Muslims.
Yeah.
Right? How is it that they've cultivated that mindset? And the problem, the question.
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Because the problem is, it gives the impression that is kind of like arises somehow innate in the attitudes of the British Muslim community.
and some people
Which is a
exploit
very-
that impression.
They do,
Yeah.
but nevertheless, the question still needs to be asked, just as is abuse going on, is that negative? Are there negative attitudes? We need to ask ourselves.
Questions are good, of course, they should be
That's
asked.
what I'm saying. And unfortunately,
Yeah,
because of the sensitivity of the issue, and it's rightly, people are right to be sensitive and angry about it. Well, I mean, we wouldn't be honest with ourselves if we weren't. Yeah.
I'm saying it's child abuse. Who cares if some people get offended? No, lock them away. Give them the harshest punishments. Christians, Muslims, Jews, black, white, green, pink, unicorns, whoever it is, sling. You know what I mean? Like abhorrent, disgusting people. They need to be dealt with, as far as I'm concerned. But when people try to weaponize something as serious as this, like in I think Rotherham or Rochdale, there's a group called the Shatter Boys. Yeah, Shatter Boys. Yeah, it's a group. It's a community that deals, or an organization rather, that deals with child sexual abuse. They were approached by UKIP and said, you know what, we want you to peddle this whole grooming thing and blame it on the Muslims and this and that. And they were like, what? And they said, you know what, we'll give you extra funding from millionaires rather. And you can find this, it's online, they're called the Shatter Boys. My question is, why are you, if you genuinely care about the victims, why are you weaponizing something that's already abhorrent and trying to forward it on a community if it's not going to have social, political gain for these individuals? On top of that, you got Caitlin Spencer, who was a victim of grooming gangs. She wrote a book about it and she was due to speak to the House of Lords and they said, you got to blame it on the Muslims. She's like, nah, but it's not all Muslims. I knew people that were victims and they were non-white women. And then she's getting attacked by the right wing, by the far right, saying, you know what, chuck your daughters in the English Channel. She's like, what's this? I'm being bullied by them, but I'm a victim of this. Why? Because she's not towing the line. And she's saying that I'm being told, oh, you're watering down the narrative. She's like, what narrative? Oh, you're taking away from the victims. She's like, but there are victims that are non-white as well. So what I'm saying, bro, is we have to take this all in totality. Yes, Pakistanis, yes, Indians, yes, Bangladeshis, yes, white, yes, Irish, all of it. Whoever the person may be, sling them in jail. If there's worse punishment that you can come up with, we'll be behind you. Worse punishment, regardless of who they are. But don't weaponize this cause just to forward your own political agenda. That's the issue that we have.
Yeah. That is a issue, and that issue is overshadowing looking at the realities on the ground. That's the problem. It is an issue, and it is an actual problem that intelligent, grown-up people need to deal with.
Yeah.
How do we actually, eyes open, look at the truth of the situation, and at the same time avoid the political football that it's become?
That's it.
Okay, because that is a problem. That is a real problem. And
we unify under the banner of right and wrong.
That's it.
That's what we do. We unify under the banner of right and wrong, as opposed to I believe.
Unify, right. Well, that's what I'm here today.
Oh yeah, I mean that kind of coincides with what you're saying.
I mean, that's what I'm all
That's
about. English-Muslim Alliance.
And it was a good conversation.
Thank you so much. It's Shahi.
Zishan. Zishan.
Zishan. Not
Your
she,
name?
Z.
No, not she.
Z.
I don't identify as she.
I like what you do. You're different.
I appreciate that, bro.
On
I appreciate
video
that.
when you hear your.
Alhamdulillah, you gotta be focused
I respect
on it.
your knowledge. I really do. And I
Thank you,
respect
brother.
Your work, because
Thank you,
I've told you before. You do read the numbers, and I don't always agree with you,
And that's human.
I will, point that out. I mean, what do you think? I mean, Andrew Tate, you can't ignore it. Andrew Tate.
Let's leave that for another day. I mean, we've had a good convo with the grooming thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I'll let you talk to other people as well.
Yeah, because he's calling out Muslims. Right,
That's another chapter. Yeah.
Because don't look at us, because it's like back in the day. Forgive me, right? But back in the day when I was growing up, a schoolboy, adolescent, it's like you're only saying that because I'm black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some
And
people
it's
do
like- it's
weaponize
like-
certain things. Yeah.
And
But next time.
Okay.
Your name?
Adam.
Adam. Nice to meet you, brother. Your name? Matt. Nice to meet you, Matt. Take it easy, bro.
But
Thank you,
but
bro.
these communities where
Have a
these
good
things
day.
are
Love.
happening, it's like this.
Brother, can I get some water, please?
The other side, the English people, can't get away with saying, the Muslims can't get away with pointing at Jimmy Savile and saying, well, don't look at this problem, look over there. It's like both sides, I believe, are in self-denial
Yeah.
and gaslighting the other.
There definitely needs to be more
And we need
More awareness.
We need to get away.
onto the people that are.
Dickhead Bob,
Yeah.
right on my shoulder, giving it large as he does, shouting, the abuse and that poisonous stuff that he comes out with. That's
Yeah.
not helping anyone.
That's it, bro.
We need to stand together.
We need to have more conversations.
Inshallah.
Take it easy, bro. Salam.